This is Remembrance Day, and in some respects, Thanksgiving Day as well, for one Eastern Ontario family. Dillon Hillier served with the Canadian Forces in Afghanistan, survived that, then decided he wanted to do his part to destroy ISIS in Iraq. And so, 2 years ago, by himself, he returned to the region and experienced some of the most frightening moments of his life. We have three members of the family with us tonight. In Calgary, Alberta, Russell Hillier, Dillon's brother. And here in our studio, Randy Hillier, Dillon's father, and of course, the MPP for Lanark, Frontenac, Lennox, and Addington. And the soldier himself, Dillon Hillier, who with brother Russell has co-authored One Soldier, a Canadian soldier's fight against the Islamic State. And I'm very happy to welcome all three Hillier boys to our studio and in Points Beyond in Calgary on this important day on our calendar. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having us.
I want to start by just reading an excerpt of this book, and this will get us going. I was leaving to fight in a war where tens of thousands had already been killed, maimed, raped, and tortured via the most brutal and sickeningly creative methods imaginable. Beheadings, crucifixions, impalings, and being burned alive are just some of the ways that ISIS deals with its enemies. It's medieval torture reincarnated into the modern world. Dillon, the obvious first question is, why would you give up your high-paying, fun life to go risk that?
There were several reasons why I decided to go. I mean, I was working in the oil patch, watching this kind of unfold on CNN. I felt like maybe the skills that I learned in the Canadian military, I might be able to provide some assistance. And then there was the fact that there was I never served with Nathan Cirillo or Warrant Officer Patrice Vincent, but when they were murdered here on our own soil by ISIS-inspired jihadis, it struck a nerve with me, and I felt like I should go do something.
Russell, when your brother told you that he wanted to go do this, what was your reaction?
Well, there was a lot of, it was sort of a sequence of emotions that I went through. When he first told me in the summer of 2014 that his plan was to go to Iraq and help the Kurds, I at first thought that, it was a case of Dillon maybe missing life in the Canadian military because he had recently got out of that military. And so I thought it was a phase that he was going through. As time went on and the atrocities on the news kept happening, I could see Dillon becoming more resolute in his decision to go to Iraq. And by the time that the two Canadian soldiers were murdered in Canada, I knew that his mind had been pretty much made up. And so I got the news through a text. Dillon told me, he said, "Russ, you better come see me tomorrow because I'll be leaving for a while." And I knew exactly what he meant when he said that.
Randy, I want to pick up the story with you because when your boys talked about this, Russell in Calgary told Dillon, you know this is going to take years off Mom and Pop's life. Has it?
It was an exceptionally stressful time, and Jane still has difficulties. She hasn't read the book yet.
Jane, your wife, has not read the book yet?
No.
Why not?
I think there's just some things that that whole period of time was very stressful. It was very full of anxiety. It was full of doubts and uncertainties, and we slept with the cell phones beside the bed, and I'm sure she will read it. She's just not quite ready to read it yet.
I don't blame her for not reading it because I've read it and it's horrendous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so scary what this guy's been through, but I do want to follow up.
Yeah.
One of the reasons they said they didn't, the brothers said they didn't tell you and your wife ahead of time was because Dillon feared that you as a politician would try and pull some strings and prevent him from going. Would you have, had he told you?
I tried.
You did try?
Oh, absolutely.
What'd you try to do?
I won't get into I made a number of phone calls. Like Jane and I were watching TV on I believe it was a Saturday night, about 9 p.m. or so, and I get this text message from Dillon saying, "I'm heading off, and craft up whatever story you want for Mom, but don't let her know if you that I'm heading over to Kurdistan." And he gave me some some stories of reassurance that he would be far from the back, far from the front lines, and that.
Was that all BS?
Yeah.
It was all BS, just to make them feel better.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel bad about what I put my parents through, but it was something that I felt like I had to do, so.
How, Russ, I'll bring you back in here. How did you cope with the anxiety that clearly everybody in the family felt while your brother was overseas?
Yeah, there's a lot of, I had mixed emotions about it. On the one hand, I was terribly worried about Dillon every single day that he was in Iraq. On the other hand, I was also, there was a sense of being proud that he was, really doing what he felt he needed to do and was making the world a better place in some small way. The way I coped with it was, well, there's no way to get around all the anxiety. You learn to deal with it, and you live with it. But I informed myself about what was happening in Iraq. I read the news every single day. I read, Kurdish news reports about the front lines. And aside from that, I decided to take some concrete action, and I helped out my brother with, moral support, and, also, I don't know if you want to cover this now, but
Well, you did a fundraiser, right? A Kickstarter campaign to get him some equipment.
Yeah, we did I launched a crowdfunding campaign to get night vision goggles for Dillon. He told me via email that ISIS often attacked in the night, so we did a fundraising campaign, and we raised enough money to get him night vision goggles and some supplies that would help hopefully keep him alive and safe when he was in Iraq.
There was one line, Dillon, in the book, and we're going to read other excerpts as we go along here, but you talk about saving one bullet in the chamber just in case you get captured because you'd rather take your own life than let them do what they presumably wanted to do. Did you think about that a lot while you were over there?
That's something I thought about more before I left. Once I was there and, got comfortable with the, like I fought with several units, but once I was there and comfortable with the guys that I was to my left and right, that was less of a worry. I didn't think that was going to happen after being in a few engagements.
Have you read the book, Randy?
I have indeed.
You have. Then in which case, this will not come as news to you because I'm going to read an excerpt here and then I want your view on this. Here we go. Board number 2, please. Bullets were snapping the air and raking the hillside from every direction. The attacking spearhead moved in small groups like this, ducking, hiding, and firing as they went. There was no way to avoid casualties in this type of fighting, and men went down, dying and clutching ghastly wounds as they charged forward. Suddenly, a group of 4 bearded men sprouted from a hole in the ground, flushed up from the Kurdish advance. They ran for the top of the hill and the safety of the sunken road at the top. This was the first time I took deliberate aim at a man. I brought the M16 rifle to my shoulder and fired rapid bursts at the enemy. Blood misted the air, and at least 2 of the ISIS fighters staggered over the lip of the berm that marked the main enemy works running along the spine of the hill. Unlucky MFs. I got to know what went through your head when you read passages like that, and there are a lot of them in the book.
Yeah, there is. But like Russell, when Dillon was over there, I coped by reading everything and learning as much as I possibly could of what Dillon was experienced. And we also had an application on our phones called WhatsApp that did allow us to have communication. So, I was more involved about knowing what was going on there. So when I read the book, it didn't surprise me. I already knew that there was some significant engagements that had happened. And of course, also I'd seen the video where Dillon had bandaged up one of the Kurdish fighters that was beside him. Is that
Brothahan you're talking about?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about this guy? He got shot in the face, and you saved his life.
I wouldn't go so far as to say I saved his life. I mean...
Well, he'd have sat there and bled out if you didn't help him. Yes. Tell me the story.
So I was about 10 feet away from him. We were both firing over a berm. I looked over, and he was down. There was some people kind of I think they may have been trying to extract him, but they weren't doing a very good job. So I ran over, I grabbed his vest, dragged him into like more cover.
While you're under fire.
Yeah, and just did what I was trained to do. Saw the entry wound, saw the exit wound, bandaged him up, and the Kurdish militants evacuated him.
And he survived.
Yeah, he lost his eye, but I actually, a couple times throughout because that was one unit that I was with, but I actually ran into that same unit several times when I was over there, and I asked about him. The 2 or 3 days before I left, I ran into them, and they were like, "Yeah, he's good. Lost his eye, but
he's going to live."
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a cliched question, and I know you've been asked it 1,000 times, but I think our viewers want to know. What goes through your head when you're in the middle of a firefight and it's either them or you?
You know what? Like, I don't really know. You just react. You just react how you were trained to fight, and there's not much time for thought. Survival. So, and it's there's an incredible amount of adrenaline going through you. It's exciting. It's terrifying. It's a lot of emotions all at once.
Let me do another excerpt here, and this may sum up some of the feelings as well. For the briefest of moments, fear paralyzed my body and mind. I had been shot at before, but that was as part of a massive charge, where to the enemy I would have been just another anonymous target. Here, I was the lone target, and it was personal. These two jihadists wanted my death. Then, suddenly, fate smiled on me like it never has before and probably never will again. They turned and ran. Their nerves had broken first in this high-stakes game of chicken. Later, I stood over the two bearded corpses and looked down at them. Mere moments before, they had been alive and trying to kill me, but now they were dead. Dillon, you admit in the book there was a strangely intoxicating feeling at killing someone. Can you explain that for us?
Like I said before, it's just a lot of emotions. You're kind of, you're ecstatic that you survived the encounter and they didn't. You were them kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't go over there with the explicit thinking that I was to kill. I didn't go there to kill people, but I knew it was a possibility that might happen, and I was ready to do that should it come to it, and it came to it. So, I didn't feel there was a bit of guilt maybe, but it was short-lived, and I certainly don't feel bad about it now.
You say in the book, you're candid enough to acknowledge in the book that you are never the same person after you've killed somebody. So how are you different now?
I mean, every experience that you have in life, shapes who you are. I can't pin down the exact thing that has maybe changed about me, but the experience in general, I would say, has made me, I don't really get stressed at all about anything back here. I've heard a lot of people in the military. Little things bother them, if they hear people complaining about this or that, everyday things, first world problems, some people might say. But so when I left the military, that kind of thing bothered me. But when I came back, it's just I don't care. I mean,
you can't get too bent out of shape if the clouds are out today.
I mean, I'm glad we live in a place where someone can complain about their coffee being cold or something.
Well, let me ask Russell, do you notice a change in your brother since his return?
Not particularly. I mean, Dillon, I know what he's saying when he says that when you go through such a harsh experience as the one he went through, the little things are just, they're little things, they're inconsequential. And so I know what he's talking about when he says that the small things in life don't stress him out anymore. But I think Dillon is he's always been a man of few words, which is, a challenge when you're trying to write a book with him. But I find that he's maybe a little bit more calm about things. quieter perhaps, but he's still, he's still the guy that the brother I've grown up with. So no major changes, on that front.
Randy, as you read the book and you saw the firefights and the near-death experiences your son had, was there ever a moment where you said to yourself, I can't believe this guy's still alive. How did he get through all that?
No, that was more while he was over there. Reading the book, knowing that Dillon was back at home or back in Ontario, it was a very different. I'm sure I read the book with a very different perspective than anybody else. It's I'm reading it now in the comfort of my home, knowing my son is safe, knowing that everybody's safe and here and not under fire now. So no, there was knowing what was going on at the time I'd already experienced that before the book was written.
ISIS is still around, and there's a new president coming in who says they're going to, he's fairly profane in the way he describes what he hopes to do to ISIS. Do you worry your son's going to go back over again?
I don't think he is. I've chatted with him. Mind you, he doesn't always tell me everything that he's doing. Unlike his conversation with his brother about going over, he didn't share those with me ahead of time. So, but I think Dillon's also now getting a lot of interest and excitement in the career that he's doing now.
Which is what?
Investment banking.
Yeah.
No kidding. You've gone from like the most godforsaken place in the world to investment banking in Toronto.
Yeah, and like I can answer the question that you asked my dad better than he can. And in Iraqi Kurdistan, anyways, it's over for ISIS. I mean, Mosul's going to fall soon, and I wouldn't be too keen in going to fight in Syria. I wouldn't be. I feel like I made an impact on individual lives over there, and that's what I went to do. And I feel like I've kind of done my part.
Been there, done that, got that T-shirt.
Yeah.
So you're not going back?
No.
No plans to go back?
No plans to go back, no desire to go back.
Let's, Sheldon, can we bring these pictures up right now? Let's show these pictures and I just have you talk over them. Look at the monitor up here on the wall. What are we looking at here?
So that was at Rashad. I can't remember if it was before or after we got in a little skirmish. Yeah, I mean, it was
those are your guys.
Yeah, Peshmergas hanging out and enjoying the warmth. This was at the Battle of Tal Ward. These guys were walking by, saw a Westerner, decided they wanted to get a photo.
And they did.
Yeah. We
got one more, I think.
So again, that's at Rashad. Behind me in the truck there is a 105 millimeter recoilless rifle mounted on the truck. Just enjoying a lull in the kind of skirmishes and having a cigarette.
Dillon, strange kind of question, but you just decided to do this. You didn't get permission from your parents, clearly. You didn't get permission from your government either. You just went. Is what you did legal?
It's not illegal.
It's not illegal. I'm not sure I understand the distinction.
Either do I. I don't know. When I went over, there was plenty of articles. The Canadian government just trying to discourage people from going, but it was said many times that he's not doing anything wrong.
Randy, you wanted to weigh in.
Yeah, because that's what I tried to do to stop him. That first night, making phone calls to every contact that I had that I thought may be able to delay him or stop him at one of the way over spots. But the response came back, he's not doing anything illegal. We can't, the RCMP or other security services could not do anything to stop him because it was legitimate and legal.
The RCMP were plenty interested in you when you got back, though. What did they interrogate you over?
It was not an interrogation.
Okay, interrogate's the wrong word. They certainly questioned you with enthusiasm.
Yeah, I mean, So I made contact with one of, I think he was RCMP in Dubai, and he arranged for the RCMP to come out and interview me, and that's a much better word for it, is an interview. They came out a day after I got home. We sat around my parents' kitchen table, had some coffees. They talked to me about 2 hours, and basically they just had me walk through start to end. They didn't ask me any tough questions. Who was I with? What did you do? It was more just, why did you go? Where did you go? That sort of thing.
Got it. Russell, how many years difference between you two?
There's 5 years.
5 years. Did you grow up,
us, yeah.
you grew up in the same household? Mm-hmm. Same parents?
Yeah,
Pretty much same experiences in Eastern Ontario, yes?
that's fair to say, yeah.
Have you ever wondered why you turned out the way you did, and why this guy seems to have this deep desire to join the Canadian Forces and make an impact on the world in the way he has?
Yeah, it's funny, Steve. I get asked that question all the time by my friends and people who I run into who know the story, know the book, and so yeah, like, I get asked that question. Why would your brother do this? And I say, well, he's a little bit crazy, and and I say that sort of jokingly, but he has a strong set of values, I think, and he did what nobody or very few people will ever do, and that's voluntarily go to a very dangerous place and try to make a difference. And so I'm extremely proud of what he did, and he's my brother, so I was worried about him the entire time, but he's his own man, and I guess we're different in the sense that he was willing to use his training to sort of step up and do the thing that he believed in.
At the end of the day here, Dillon, who's the book written for?
Russell, it took some convincing by Russell to have me agree to tell the story. But at the end of the day, I wanted to draw attention to the fight and to the Kurdish people, and a lot of people have this sense that it's over there. They're all terrorists. That's a common sentiment among people, and but it's not true. I mean, the Kurdish people are a great people, and I wanted to draw attention to that.
We got a minute left, and Russell wanted to break in there. Go ahead, Russell.
Yeah, just in terms of who the book's written for, Dillon's absolutely right. It took a lot of convincing. When he first got back from Iraq, I asked him about his experience, and he was very tight-lipped about it. But then when I had the idea to, when I approached him with this idea to write a book, his first reaction was, no, it's a stupid idea. Nobody wants to read it. So it definitely took some convincing. But I think it's a story that he felt he needed to share. And I'm glad he did.
I'm going to give the last word to Dad. What are your thoughts on this Remembrance Day?
Well, Remembrance Day is a powerful day and it always has been in our family. Ever since kids been young, we've been going out to the cenotaph every year. And, we have a long history of people that have been engaged in combat in the family. Dillon's grandfather was a carrier pilot in the Second War. Great-grandfather was in the First War. I have a brother who's in the military as well. Remembrance Day is that very unique and profound day, once a year, that we actually get to take a few moments out of these first world items that may be in our minds and actually think about why we're here.
Lest we forget. Russell Hillier, it's good of you to be on the line for us in Calgary, Alberta. Congratulations on the book.
Thank
Randy
you.
Hillier, the PC MPP, and dad of these two, and Dillon Hillier, the co-author of One Soldier, A Canadian Soldier's Fight Against the Islamic State. It is a terrific read, very appropriate, particularly given the day that we're speaking on. Yes. Thanks so much to you three.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit tvo.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.